Hey, Andrew, guess what?
What's that, Sam?
We might have a goalie situation here soon.
Watch out, Bussi. PK is a coming.
Yes, he is. Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of the Knack Report. And Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Sam. How are you?
Doing pretty well on this Sunday night. Um, Obviously, there's just the one game with the Boston game. We're going to recap that game, even though there's not much to talk about. We are going to talk about something that might be happening, probably a little bit more in focus with the whole goaltending situation that we might have, because we kind of hinted that in our one-liner. So stay tuned. That's going to be a big part for this episode. But first things first, we have a great partnership with SeatGeek. You get $20 off of your first purchase if you use promo code Caniac Reports, all one word. It's a great deal if you're trying to get a discount on some money on some tickets, whether that's to a comedy show uh, or whatever. And we also have the Caniac Report Plus. So if you are listening uh, to us through Apple Podcasts, well, you know, this is for you because it's just another way for you to listen to our episodes. And it's definitely for you if you do not like ads. So you don't like it, there it is right there, the Caniac Report Plus. And remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode. Sorry, already struggling with my words here. Um, and then if you're listening to us on Apple or sorry, on podcast, wherever you listen to us, please leave a rating and a review. And that is enough of me talking. Andrew, Markstrom signs a 2-year, $6 million extension. What do you think of that contract?
Seems like he's a decent backstop for a New Jersey. Glad that they keep him around because we do kind of seem to have his number. So hopefully I didn't just jinx us, but I ain't worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it either. And what's interesting, like even though New Jersey's off to a very, very good start, they really are. Markstrom's kind of been struggling. He has like an 875 save percentage, and he's 35 years old. So to me, that's a bit of a head scratcher, to be honest, just a little bit. Just
Yeah,
looking at the stats.
yeah. I think sometimes teams will lean into sometimes the mediocre goalie is better than the potential goalie you don't know. They've
Hmm.
made it to the playoffs with him before, and he's had good games there, but I think for everything people might say about the Hurricanes, you can say it about New Jersey tenfold. So
Yep.
I think them leaning into an older goaltender is it's an interesting choice.
It really is. But we'll see how New Jersey does. I still think they're a playoff team. It's just once they hit the playoffs, I just don't see them as a threat for the Stanley Cups. I'm sure you probably agree with that, don't you, Andrew?
Yeah, definitely a lot of high end talent, but again, if the Hurricanes are too soft to make it far, then I don't know what you would call the Devils because there's just a smaller, even more finesse version of what the Hurricanes do.
Exactly. So that's kind of it. Just some light news there on the NHL. Not really a whole lot of stuff. But now we're going to get to the Hurricanes news and all the stuff I want to talk about with Hurricanes before we recap the one and only Boston game. But Andrew, obviously we can't, the, not the Boston game, but the game before that, we were concerned about Seth Jarvis. He had taken a couple of cross checks, and what was really the final blow was the blocked shot that he had in that game. And it turns out that we dodged a bullet there. He came back in the Boston game. I was so happy to see him. Weren't you, Andrew?
Oh, thrilled. I was maybe a little bit surprised that even if he could go, that they wouldn't give him a game because if it even just looked bad enough that, like the way Rod was talking about it post game, it sounded like it could be a very serious injury. So for him to be on the ice the next game was a little surprising. I hope that it was the smart move. Obviously, you trust the training staff, but you can never question his toughness. Jarvie is a competitor.
He really is. Like, I mean, it's funny because, like, I mean, he's not the biggest dude in the whole world. We know that, but he plays like he's bigger,
Oh yeah,
and
he
he
plays
can
with no
take
fear,
those hits.
no fear at all.
I know. I love it, man. And I mean that's part of the reason why he's so good with Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook. And I know there are some critics that do not like that line, and I understand those critics, but it just shows that he likes that big grinding type of game that Brendan Moore likes to employ with his team.
Yeah, Jarvis definitely has the skill to be on like a high flying finesse lines, like when like he and Aho are clicking, and hopefully
Hmm.
Healers continues to improve, like they can do that. But he's just has the talent that as long as their line is playing the game the right way, he can capitalize on any opportunity that he gets, and that's what Stahl and Martinook create. So whether it's Jarvis or maybe Svetch keeps on working out on that line, I think whoever plays with those two is lucky.
Yes, definitely. And the next piece of news that we have here is Kochetkov. It was announced that he got put on a conditioning stint in Chicago. In fact, I think he already played a game with Chicago, and he did very, very well in that game. Andrew, this creates a bit of it's a good problem to have, obviously. But, I mean, Anderson, go ahead. I can tell you're
Oh,
trying to
sorry.
say something.
Sorry. Love it when you think it's your time to talk, and then you're just slack jawed about it. But it's the controversy we've been waiting for, right? We've been kind of predicting this for a couple of weeks. As soon as Bussi not only appeared to be a competent NHL goalie, but maybe even a really good one. I don't know how they're going to go about avoiding having to put one of them through waivers because they're going to get picked up. Like there's no way that PK or Busty, with the way he's played, is going to clear. So do they keep three goalies? Do they have to do something contract wise with Busty? Uh, this will be another good test for Tulsky to work his magic.
It very well could be. So, I mean, Kochetkov, he comes up, you have three goalies. Like, I mean, obviously you mentioned Tolsky there. Like, Andrew, if you were in Tolsky's situation, would you like give him possibly maybe a contract? And what would that contract look like in order for him to be less desirable to be picked up through waivers?
I think you would have to make it 2 years. I think you would have to be comfortable with paying maybe a smidge higher than what he's worth just to make it, not an easy to add contract, which they have the cap space to do it. So I think going, a quarter, half a mil high on him wouldn't exactly set back any of their plans. But, you do have to also keep in mind that, as awesome as he's been, as great of a story as it's been, it's only been four games that he's played. So we've seen goalies on this team before have play hot for a while and then it fades off. So that's not me trying to predict the future about him. Hopefully he proves everything about that to be incorrect, but what PK is capable of. So if you do have a choice, I do think that is the one you unfortunately have to go with. But if they can find a way to make this work out where Bussi is your bona fide third goalie, that would be huge for this franchise.
It really would. And I think I'm already seeing some comparables, not a lot, but some comparables to that of, if you remember, Spencer Martin. Like, he was decently good throughout his first few games, but it kind of fell off the cliff for him, especially in if you remember the Florida games that he had. So, I mean, we'll see how Brandon Bussi does. He has only played 4 games, but he's played very, very good. I say if I was Eric Tolsky, I think I probably do is, I mean, it's tough because like I'm not out there on the ice with these players and all that type of stuff. So knowing I don't have that information, I mean, I probably would just keep him as the third string goalie up with the Hurricanes just for the time being. I probably wouldn't give him a contract now, but just be like, hey, let's, if we can, of course, maybe give him like a few more games, and then at that point, maybe give him a contract. But I'd probably be in a wait and see mode. It's really difficult. I don't envy Tolsky's position at all.
No, not at all. I mean, so I like the Spencer Martin comparison. I think the one thing in Bussey's favor on this one is that
Yes.
if my memory serves me right, when Spencer Martin first came onto the scene, it was playing hot. He had a healthy decor in front of him. Bussi is doing this with rookies in front of him, so that does make his run that much more impressive. Um, same thing for Freddie, and we know what PK is capable of, both the good and the bad side of it. When he's on his game, I have no doubt he'd be doing the same thing. If they can manage doing 3 goalies on the roster, I know that can complicate things like practice time, them getting
Yep,
their
it
reps.
can.
Maybe when they get into the dog days of the season, maybe you look at Freddie and be like, "Hey, man, you're killing it, but I can tell, you're looking a little tired. You're going to take a couple of weeks off, and we're going to roll with these two for a little bit to get you ready for the playoffs." So that would be a unique way to go about it. But hey, maybe this is the team. We always hear it come playoff time about the Canes. Well, teams that have 2 goalies actually don't have any goalies. No one's ever done it with a tandem. Maybe the problem is we've been doing it with 2 and not 3.
Yeah, very well could be. You just never know. Again, I'm not out there with the guys, unfortunately, but it'd be very interesting going into the playoffs with 3 goalies. I mean, you
Right.
have the depth, which is really nice.
Right, depth is great, and just to be clear, I was joking about doing a 3-man rotation in net in in the playoffs, though. That
Sorry, I
would
didn't catch that.
no, my tone is very I am trick or treated out, so
Oh,
very blunt today. I'm very sarcastic, but yeah, no, I don't think they have a whole lot of bad routes here. It's just a matter of how do you keep them. Like, go with the hot hand. You have the trust rod, but losing either Bussi or PK for nothing because of waivers would be a mismanagement of assets, and
it
I'm
would.
not sure how they go about fixing it. Maybe, unfortunately, maybe it does force them to have to cash in on one of them rather than losing them for nothing. But that's not a great uh, position to be in when you're negotiating a trade either. But that's obviously getting too far ahead of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we already went through this, if you remember, with Cade and Primo. We sent him down to waivers. Toronto picks him up, and that's left us with, oh boy, that ain't good. Because, Anderson can get hurt at any point. And Kochetkov was already hurt at the time. So that's why us fans were very, very concerned. And then we picked up Brandon Bussi. There were no expectations for him, Andrew, and he came out looking very good in those 4 games.
Yeah, he's been solid. I mean, he's made this a genuine competition for who's going to be the second goalie behind Freddie, and that's something I don't think any of us saw coming. You
Yeah,
know, I think before he went on this run, all of us were kind of expecting for him to come out, maybe play one good game, but then fall back to earth. They were going to have to ride Anderson way too hard to start the season, but so far he's been able to play every other game, and as of right now, you're confident when he's in net.
yeah, you really, really are. So that's kind of it for us talking about the whole goalie situation there, Andrew. But I do want to talk about another piece of news because I wonder if this is good news. I hope it is, but Dominic Fensor got sent back to Chicago right after the Boston game. Does that mean Miller ghosts? I mean, I think we kind of know Slavin probably ain't going to come back just because we haven't seen any signs of him coming back anytime soon. But what do you think when you saw that news?
I do think it means that somebody is close to coming back. I'm guessing it's probably going to be Keandre Miller. I know Ghost's injury is a new one, and I'm sure just having that bad luck, they're not going to rush him back at all. And obviously, you cannot afford to rush Slavin back. Not that they can really afford to lose Miller either, but it sounds like he's been around the team. He's been inching his way back into playing shape. So hopefully he can come back, because as impressive as these rookies are, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to hold up. But yeah, very impressive run by the rookies. But please get well soon, guys. We need you badly.
Yes, we really do. Well, Andrew, obviously we already played 1 game in the month of November so far. And obviously we lost that game, but just looking at the schedule there, And if you want, I can give you some time to look at the schedule of the month of November. But what do you think is a good, respectable record to say at the end of this month, and we look back at the month of November, like that's a good record right there?
So looking ahead to November, we play the Rangers twice. We got Boston again. There's Washington in there, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Vancouver. So some really solid competition coming up. If they can get out of this month 10-5, win 10 of these 15 games, I think that would be a huge success, especially if they can pull off a couple of wins against teams like the Rangers, maybe get some revenge against Boston. And there's 2 games against Buffalo in there, and those are ones where I think those become kind of bigger games than you would think, just looking at how tough this run here is about to be. So 10-5, I think, is the minimum of what this team should see as a acceptable month.
I would agree with that. I like that you brought up the Buffalo games. I think that's very important too. Um, the Also, I kind of look at like the amount of home games and away games, and I think how you get to that 10-5 record, win most of your games at home. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're not going to win every home game. I wish we could, but I mean, you're just not. But win most of your games at home. Maybe like set. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 games at home. That's a very successful month, I would say.
I agree. I agree.
Yep. So that's pretty much it for us talking about the Hurricanes there before we get to the Boston game. But what we're going to do is get to a sponsor, and then we're going to be recapping the low event hockey game of us against Boston. The NBA season tips off, and so does DraftKings' newest fantasy game. DraftKings Pick 6 is the easiest way to play for big wins, with every possession giving you a shot at real money. Here's how to play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more stats, and unlock the upside every game brings. Pick 6 is available in Texas, California, Missouri, and more. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Don't just watch basketball. Cash in. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call, ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable. Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Alrighty, Andrew. So, I mean, you can probably tell this game might have been a low scoring game if you kind of look at the DNA of both teams. I mean, Swayman and Anderson, I mean, both good quality goalies right there. Boston has pretty good defense with Charlie McAvoy, Hampus Lindholm, Nikita Zadorov, and big defense too. And I mean, even though like our main defensemen are out, we still play the identity of a forechecking defensive sound game. So I mean, you can probably tell. Uh, Obviously, for a second period, there were no goals, but to me, what stuck out to me the most, actually, I mean, it was frustrating because I actually thought the Hurricanes played good in those 2 periods. Well, what was your observation?
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's kind of a cliche thing and almost sounds like a cop out, but this felt like one
Yeah.
of those games where just they couldn't get a bounce. They were hitting posts. I thought that they were attacking the net well, but ultimately, I thought that it was a goalie duel between Freddie and Swayman, and I mean that if you like goaltending, then that was a great game to watch. But definitely low events, but I think it's because the teams played each other pretty well.
Yeah, they really did. And Boston, I mean, you can tell where they're in the standings. They were desperate for a win. Um, but one player, obviously, he got the one goal for the Hurricanes. But Nikishin, I mean, he laid some big hits. Like to me, the one on Pasternak, I believe it was like in the, I believe it might have been in the first period. I think it was, but that was a big hit. And this guy is impressing me. And Bryn Moore is showing it by increasing his ice time. Andrew.
Yeah, all the injuries have definitely given him the fast track to these opportunities, and he's been taking advantage of it completely. I think whatever doubts about him, maybe not now, just given the roster, but eventually being a bona fide top four defenseman, I think those questions have been answered in quickly. I think he plays with maybe the most grit on this team. He throws big
Yep.
hits. He's if he's on the ice, he's the first person to get in the middle of a scrum if there's some extracurriculars going on. So, yeah, I'm incredibly impressed with him so far this season.
Yes, definitely. It's going to be interesting once we get all of our healthy defensemen back. How much ice time he's going to be getting, Andrew? That's another dilemma. You already have the goaltending dilemma, and now you have possibly. I mean, you only have so much ice time to give, so it's going to be interesting, Andrew. How our full once our defensemen are fully healthy, where Nick Kitchen's going to slot in terms of ice time.
Yeah, I'm guessing he'll probably still stay down on that third pair, but I mean, you let the kid stay fresh throughout the game, and just whenever it's his turn, go out there and just throw the body, put the puck on net with that cannon of a shot, and just keep on learning the North American game. Keep on bonding with your teammates, getting more comfortable just with being here. And the sky's the limit for Nikishin. It really is. I think we all, you know, last year in the playoffs, he was kind of like, the promised savior almost. I think when he came in and understandably struggled, not only just learning a new system but doing it in the playoffs, maybe people kind of threw a little bit of a water on the fire that was his height, but he's proven the doubters wrong. He belongs. He absolutely belongs in this league.
He definitely does. And I mean, he's still labeled as a rookie defenseman, even though I think he's a little bit exempt from that just because of how good and how big of a potential he can. Speaking of rookie defensemen, I did kind of want to point out because I listened to Adam Gold's episode after the game, and I thought he kind of took the words out of my mouth in the fact that, like, our rookie defensemen, they're really good at defending. But when it comes to everything else, that's kind of when you start to miss. Ghost, Slavin, Miller. It's that transition game. And like I mean the Boston game to me it's one of those games where it's been the same thing for these rookie defensemen in the fact that yeah, you're doing good at defending, but I mean, what's your observation on or your take on that, Andrew?
I think that's pretty spot on. I think that comes with time. I think that's all decision making and learning how to read the plays in front of you, and that comes with just playing more at this level of hockey. That's the only way to do it. The minor leagues is close, so once they go back and are getting the full ice time to develop, I think that they've shown that you know their first job is to defend. But this team, just because of how they play, they need their defensemen to be able to push the tempo with the forwards. But I think Legault in particular has had a few moments in the offensive zone where it seems like, okay, you have some offensive skills there that can be dialed in. It looks like he has a pretty nasty shot himself.
Yeah, he really, really does. And like we said, it probably does take more time to get accumulated with the NHL and all that stuff. But I mean, the third period really came down to just the whole game. Like the whole game was in that third period. You had Middlestat scoring and Arvidsson scoring from Boston. Uh, I don't blame any of those goals, to be honest, on Anderson. The second goal, I mean, I can probably agree to disagree there because I mean he was all alone. Maybe Anderson could have stopped that, but that middle stack goal, like I feel like that kind of started with like Ehlers kind of on the ice there, laying on the ground, which created a 3-on-2 rush there, and obviously it was just a beautiful play from Boston. It was frustrating because Sean Walker was kind of like in the middle between those two defensemen. The puck is kind of he almost gets it, but he can't control it. You know.
Right. So he does technically break up the pass, but by doing that, it actually messes up Freddie's read and just puts the puck like even sharper to the post to make a better angle for middle stat to score. So they've had some bad luck with that kind of thing these past few games, where they are blocking the lanes, they are where they're supposed to be, but the puck just goes off their stick just the perfect way for the opposition to score. But yeah, I you can't really blame Freddie too much on that one. The Arvidsson one, while yes, it was just an absolutely sick shot. That's one I think that he would say that he should have had because he saw it the whole way. There wasn't any crowding, but again, it wasn't like it was like a softball shot was coming at him. It was an absolute snipe, but just with that much space, I think Freddie should have had that.
Yeah, he might have because it seems like there was a bit of a delay of the puck going to Middlestat there with Walker obviously touching the puck, and I could see why some people, including you, Andrew, of why Anderson needs to have that. Another thing I want to talk about too, because I'm seeing lots of Hurricane fans talking about this, and the fact that we've had like what 3 power plays in the past like 3 games, and I mean. I have heard a lot of it. Like I heard one person say, "Well, that's unfair to call all these penalties on Carolina when half of their decor is gone." And I mean, I'll admit, I was a bit frustrated when I heard that, just because it shouldn't matter if you make a penalty, then you should get called for it. I mean, what? And I mean, 3 power play opportunities. Do I think that the standard hasn't been the same? Probably, but it's one of those things. Like when you talk about power play opportunities, you have to talk about the officials.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean I think the notion that who a team dresses should affect how the referees call the game is kind of silly, to be honest.
It is.
But that being said, even with all these new guys, just knowing how Carolina plays, it draws penalties. That's one of the many reasons why the power play being mid at best most seasons has been this team's Achilles heel, because they play aggressive, they forecheck, they seem like they're incredibly frustrating to play against. So it's gonna draw penalties. So I have a hard time believing that they're averaging only drawing one per game. I just have a hard time believing that, and that's not even being critical of the ref. Maybe it's just honest the goodness human error that's just happening as a trend. But with how this team plays, there's no way that that's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get the same level of frustration in this Boston game with the officials than I did probably with like the Islanders or Vegas game.
Agreed.
Um, but what's funny, like there are only 2 penalties that were called in the Boston game. I didn't think either plays were warranted a penalty. I really didn't.
No, and that's always wild when because I feel like there were a few moments early in the Boston game. I can't remember the specific plays or players, but there were those kind of moments of like, okay, the refs are going to let them play.
Yeah.
So as long as you set that tone early and that's how you officiate it, cool, fine. We're all playing on the same level. But when you're gonna call a game like that, and then at the end when it gets important, that's when you start, noticing all the little ticky tack and infractions and calling it. That's not consistent officiating.
Yeah, it really isn't. And I mean, speaking of the Boston game, I thought like the first half of the Boston game was a little bit boring, and then it started to kind of open up later in that second period. But obviously, Hurricanes lost that game. Man, do you have any final thoughts on that game?
It was a game. You like to see Nikishin
Yeah,
score a goal.
yeah,
You like to see Freddie playing good. Um, I hope everyone knows that as a Boston resident who happened to be hosting a Halloween party that night, that I took it on the chin for all of us. And I look forward to getting some revenge in a few weeks. I will be at TD Garden being as loud as I can.
Yeah, what did you think of the offense that game? I mean, to be honest, like even though I thought the Kings looked good, I didn't think they created as much high quality chances as probably other games.
Yeah, it felt like their transition game was a little bit sloppy, so it didn't allow them to set up the way that they want to. But that being said, they created enough opportunities.
They
They
did,
hit enough posts where this is a game that they definitely could have won. So it's every loss is disappointing. On paper, they should be a significantly better team than Boston. But to Boston's
yes,
credit, it's you keep waiting for them to fall apart, and they just sort of like how the Hurricanes just managed to find guys who are perfect Hurricanes. The Bruins have always been able to do that, and I thought that was a impressive display for a team that is kind of exceeding expectations, maybe to their own long-term detriment there in Boston.
yeah, very very well could. And I'm telling, just looking at the standings, Andrew, there is so much parity right now, especially in the Eastern Conference. It's basically almost like I believe it could be around. I could be wrong here, but I think it's like only a 10 point gap from like probably the very first place team in the East to at the top to the very last team in the East, because there are so many teams that are very grouped together.
Yeah, so look at the standings now. It is incredibly tight, and there's a lot of teams towards the top that anyone who had these teams picked to be in this position is lying. We got Pittsburgh near the top of the league. Nobody saw that coming. Same with Montreal's leading the Atlantic, and Detroit's right behind them. And Toronto's tied for last place in the Eastern Conference right now. Nobody saw that coming. Even though losing Marner is a big deal, that should still be a good team. But yeah, it's been a very surprising start to the season. But even saying last place, they're only a couple of points out of a playoff spot. So it's very tight right now in the East.
Yes, it definitely is. So, Andrew, hopefully we'll get some wins in our next episode. I believe there are two games. Um, until our next episode. So we'll see how the Canes do, and we will see you guys Friday.
Thanks, y'all.